Hey guys, welcome back. Um, I got interrupted by dinner, so today's a new day. All right, so we were here and we were creating our header view and our calendar view, and we left off with um, creating the header view, making the H stack, and inside of this H stack, we did want three separate components here. We needed a button to go backwards to the previous month, the title that would tell us what month we're on, and I also want to include the year, and then another button to go forward. So let's add some buttons. Um, Button, and then action and a label. So we'll have to have some kind of go back action, and the label will be an image, and it's going to be a system name, and it's chevron left, I think. And then we'll have text, and it'll say like December 2024, and we'll just copy this guy and have chevron right. See what that looks like. Oh, we got to make this guy. All right, so I'll copy, go down here, and we'll just make a placeholder struct for now. Sure. And I think we're going to need some spacers in here because right now this is going to squish everything together in the middle, and I kind of want the buttons to be on the edges. Yeah, nice. Okay, so the buttons don't actually do anything right now, but this is the idea. And so we'll add some spacers. Good. And then we'll add some padding. So I'll just add some padding to the whole thing down here. Looking better. Maybe we'll do a little bit more. Yeah, okay. And then I want these guys to be bigger, so I'll just, you can add like font to images, and I'm going to do that so that it matches the size of the label here. So I'm going to add these to all of the components inside of the header view so that it all matches. Yeah. Okay, this is looking like what I want it to look like. We're going to change the tint like we did before. I'll just add tint and make it black. Yeah, okay. Maybe we'll do a slightly different color later so that a user knows that this is tappable, like it is a button, but we'll get there when we need to get there. In the industry, you typically will see anything that needs to be done marked as a to-do comment. And the reason for that is because you can access all of your to-do items pretty easily up here. And it's just a standard so that people can quickly find what is left to be done. So like here, I see my to-do comment go back and I can easily access it, whereas I don't see this one yet. So let's mark this as something else. Go back, and this is go forward. And now if I go down here, I can see all of my to-do comments and I can jump to them. All right, let's think about our calendar view. And we're gonna definitely need to have a view model to help us go back and go forward. And this text is obviously gonna come from our view model as well. But let's work on our calendar view. All right, so looking at our calendar view, it's going to be two components. Let's bring up that image again so you can see what I'm talking about. So we're going to have a row for the days of the week, and then we have a grid. So I'm going to further break this into two components here just to keep things a little bit cleaner. And that's going to be a VStack because One's on top, one's on the bottom. They're not laid out horizontally, they're laid out vertically. So that's why we're going to start with the VStack. And this is going to be days of week view. And this will be days of month view, maybe. Nice. Okay. So we're gonna, within the calendar view, I'm going to make a new struct. There we go. Nice. Okay. That's cool. Like, this is kind of like what we want, but I don't want to have to list it out like this, like text, 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 text. So we're gonna capture the days of the week inside of an array or something. Let me just make this before I forget, like last time. Yeah, okay. That'll be fine. So in here is where we want to capture an array of each day of the week. So to make it lay out in a way that's going to align with the calendar itself, with the days of the month, we're going to create something called a lazy V grid. And what that does is it will help us align everything where it needs to be. So we're going to take this out and we're going to create a lazy V grid. And that takes in columns, its alignment, the spacing, blah, blah, blah. And this kind of helps us out there. Hey, honey.
Library card.
All right, got a little distracted. I'm back. Yeah, so we're going to create a lazy V grid. We're going to use each of the days of the week to populate it, and then we'll just write the text. And I don't think we want padding. And I don't think we want the font to be that big. So it's supposed to be like smaller for the days of the week. So we'll do that. And let's see where the syntax error is. Oh, so autocomplete did not help us very much at all. We do need to put in the columns. So we're going to make this array of grid items up here. Let's do that. So what we're doing here is we have an array, and what it does is it repeats this grid item element, and we're using an option to make it flexible width, and that will make it so that each component in this array has a flexible width so that it can lay out in the lazy V grid appropriately. And we are making 7 of these because there are 7 days of the week. And so we want to use this column's property in the columns parameter here. And then content, we're good with content. So the next thing we need to do is whenever you use for each, it requires that each element is able to be uniquely identified. And for an array of strings, like each one of these is going to be different. So we can use the ID, the key path for self, which just looks at the string itself. And we're saying that like each element here is going to be unique. Great. Okay, so now let's try to run this, see where else we went wrong. Okay, that looks pretty good. This is exactly what I wanted it to look like. And then we can use the same like flexible grid item layout for the days of the month, and then they should line up. Okay, so I think that what I want to do is we have this lazy V grid here inside of days of week, but I want it to be up here so that these will absolutely lay out in exactly the same columns. So I will take this lazy V grid and put it up here. And like I said before, if you just highlight everything and do Control-I, it will lay things out properly. All right, I think this is good. And so now we have to do the same thing where we iterate through each day of the month and do something pretty similar for days of month view. So in here, we're gonna have the same for each. And then instead of days of week, we're going to iterate over days of month, which we need to make. It's going to have the same ID because it's going to be strings, at least for now. We'll see if we need to change this later. So self. And then similarly, instead of day of week, it's day of month. And let's just do text for now, but if we look back at the image here, it's going to have the text, but then there's going to be this circle right on top of it. So we're going to need a Z stack at some point, but for now, let's just focus on the underlying labels, I guess. So that's going to just be text. And then we'll just say day of month. And just see if everything lines up properly. Let's make this array. So I kind of shortcutted it. I just said I created a range between 1 and 31, and it's mapping that to its string value. And that's what that's doing here. And then we see that everything is lined up exactly where it should be. Sweet. Okay, so now that that's all done, let's try to get some circles, I guess. Inside of this for each, instead of the text, let's make a Z stack. And this will be a circle. And then the text will go in there. And then we don't want that circle to be black. Let's say, blue. Cool. That's something. That's kind of like showing us like what we might want in the future. Obviously, each one of these are not going to be filled in, but yeah. And I don't want the circle to take up all of the available space, so let's give it a frame. I think 10 is, yeah, way too small. Maybe a touch bigger. Yeah, okay. I like it. I think this is probably a little too small, but I can live with it for now. And then this whole thing, I want padding to the calendar view. So let's add the padding. Yeah, so instead of adding the padding here, let's add the padding here to the whole VStack. If you don't add this parameter, it just assumes it's all, but whatever. Yeah. Welcome to the inception of creating this video. I stopped it at this moment because the next video is all going to be about debugging. Starting at this point, I start creating the view model and debugging some issues that I found with it. That's going to take a huge chunk of time. So I'm going to stop this video here, and I'll see you guys next time for some debugging.